train whistles, piercing the calm of the night. Coal on the fire starts to pick up speed. The hobos appear, like chipmunks lifting their heads. The ones that jump the train, they still need to be aware. Always someone looking to fight. Guards on the prowl, carrying lead pipes. Wooden truncheons don't have the same effect. The train whistles, carrying the poor hobo, some looking for work, some on the run. One thing they all have, they're down on their luck. From Chavez Ravine, LA, to the Dust Bowl of the Midwest, Chicago to Alabama, cotton pickers' families heading to California. They're all leeches as far as the farmers are concerned. Communists. Christ, they don't even know what a communist is. The ghost of Tom Joad hangs over this place. As the train whistles, Woody sings in protest, "We shall overcome." So welcome to Acoustic Haven. It was something really special for you tonight. And that poem was inspired by two things. The first one was I was listening to Woody Guthrie's Dust Bowl Ballads this afternoon, and it tied in with our guest that's coming on tonight, who has been inspired by the blues and country for as long as I've known, which is not a long time, but maybe 3-4 years. And he's inspired by the singers of the 20s, 30s, 40s, as far as I know, probably more than that. But all the while, he adds his own unique Irish style to the music. And that's the main thing about this, is the Irish style that he adds to it. So from the Lagan to the Delta, we have our tonight's guest, Karl Devlin. Why the blues, Karl?
Oh, well, I was always in a great variety of music growing up, but I was about 18 and I discovered Robert Johnson. I was going with a girl that lived in Hollywood. I bought Robert Johnson in a record shop called Hector's House, used to be around the corner. And but I was actually even in looking Buddy Holly, and I picked up that as well. I headed down the road on a Friday night, had a drink, listened to some Buddy Holly. Saturday morning, got up, made a cup of coffee, and stuck on Robert Johnson. Transported me into a world of understanding. I think is probably the best way to put it. Felt somebody understood where I was coming from, where I could understand where he was coming from. And then I started to expand from there.
Brilliant. Well, on you go, mate. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Big influence as well as Robert Johnson and Woody Guthrie. You were talking about when I was younger. I was about 18 when I got a hold of Dust Bowl Ballads, and there's a friend of mine gave me a double CD, Dust Bowl Ballads, and I can't remember the name of the other. Big Grand Coulee Dam. It was the sessions for that. But you know, there was a song that stuck with me from it. Called Raid an Old Paint. And the terminology old paint refers to an old type of horse. Paint was a type of like a coloured type of standard aged horse, I suppose. Nothing too particular about it. But the song itself, it mentions the Coulee Mountains, which aren't in America, they're here.
Yeah.
So big thing of what I've been doing is tracing who's been listening to what and see where songs have started, if I can find it, and where they've travelled to and where they've come. So my take on Old Paint. Well, I ride an old paint and lead an old town and go on to Montana to throw the hula-han. feed 'em in the coulee, water in the drawer. Tails are all matted and backs are all raw. Right around, little doggy, right around and slow. They're fiery and snuffy, raring to go. Now old Bill Jones had a daughter and a son. Son went to college and his daughter went wrong. Wife got killed in a free-for-all fight. Still he keeps singing from morning till night. Right around, little doggies, right around them slow. They're fiery and snuffy, raring to go. I've worked in the town, worked on the farm. All I got to show, a little muscle in my arm. Blister on my feet, and callus on my hand. Going to Montana through the Hurricane. Right around, little doggy, right around him slow. They're fiery and snuffy, raring to go. Now when I die, take my saddle from the wall, put it on to my pony, lead him out of his stall. Tie my bones to his back, turn our faces to the west. We'll ride the prairie, we love the best. Right around, little doggy, right around him slow. They're fiery and snuffy, raring to go.
Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Serendipitous serenade by the seashore, but it's not where summer lives anymore. Although there was a time, and I see it in the eye of my man, and I feel it deep inside my core. Dashing dandelion, bold with elegance, rustle at the frivolity of the wind's glance, dancing with rays of light, oblivious to man's melancholy play, as the parachutes explode with nature's brilliance. The sinking summer sun announces dusk at the foot of the mountain where I busk, hoping Mother Nature does bestow knowledge passed down from long ago, while the moon appears like an elephant's tusk. Alluring autumnal allegories originate. We must take care not to stagnate. All these gifts passed down through time, although neither yours nor mine. In wisdom's solitude they'll surely saturate.
Class. Real class.
Thank you. Big influence of my writing's the Black Mountain. And going up in the shadow of it and going up and down it and then moving through it and going to school on it. And it's a very comforting feature here, you know, in that sense. Always remember even thinking back, my granddad lived in Oakman Street, the top of it, so you had his door and you looked down, you could see the left half of the mountain. And you would get small gorse fires, obviously, in this time of year. And I don't know what's the smoke in the mountain. He'd tell me it was the Indians coming for me. But I think they did a big question in my head, you know, because I was big in the Westerns growing up and they always betrayed the Indians and savages and all, you know. And I remember there was an incident that happened, we were shot out in '83. Living in North Belfast, living in a mixed area. And they attacked the house looking for my father. Look, he wasn't in the house. But we moved west after it, and I remember video shops. We used to go to video shops, and different weeks would be different people. Four of us, three brothers and a sister, and between the four of us, and the older one, Stephen, five of us, we would have been watching numerous different things. So it was my turn to pick. I got a notion to watch anything about Geronimo. And I talked about the history of Geronimo, and it was like a made for TV thing. And, you know, I seen a lot in their struggle in regard to what I was learning, because after the shooting became politically aware and started looking into what was happening here, started watching documentaries late at night when everybody was sleeping, because I couldn't sleep, and started to learn an awful lot. And through watching this, there was a bit of an affinity with the Native Americans then, because I could see how they were treated and started to look into their history. And so culminating, I've done numerous reading and I'm very aware of the genocide that was perpetrated against them in the 1800s. A big thing that always stuck out to me was the Choctaw offering in 1847, I believe. Choctaw were on the Trail of Tears at the time, and they sent $180, equivalent to about 2 or 3 grand now, back home here to Ireland, because they heard about the famine, and it was all that they had, you know. In 2019, I got to go and visit the monument in Cork, commemorating that. It's called the Kindred Spirits Monument, and it consists of numerous feathers, I think they're 12 foot high, commemorating small, like a headdress type. The culmination of that, and and me being aware of that, I'm playing in a couple of weeks. I've got to go ahead. Hopefully by the time this goes out, there should be a wee bit of promotion on it that I'm playing with a support to a fella called Jaron Paxton, who's Choctaw. His mother's Choctaw. And somebody I've idolized, not necessarily idolized, I don't idolize anybody apart from my folks, my parents and things like that who were close to me, but as close to what you would call idolize as you possibly could of any contemporary musician. He has phenomenal talent, guitar ways, banjo ways, and his knowledge. He very much has a great approach, gives you the history of what he's doing and why he's doing it. He's playing here in a couple of weeks, and it'll be the biggest gig of my career, but it'll also be the culmination of finding out that I'm knowing him on the right road. You know, he came across that fella 10 years ago, and I never get into America with my history, so the fact that he's ended up here and I'm playing support, it just goes to show I'm doing something for myself, you know. So I'll continue to do that, you know. The next song I'll do will be talk a wee bit about Johnson, about Robert Johnson. There's also Lead Belly. and I was away on my holidays, as I like to call them, Curtis Elizabeth. I was teaching Englishmen their reading right their own language, and really didn't know my own. So I come home and over a number of years I've accumulated a great amount of it. My problem is it's telling me get the bulk mile. I'm a little bit slow. You know, so it takes me longer to get the full conversational level, but I'm going about it my own way and getting it. But what was helping is singing, and I approached the translating Irene Unite, one of my favourite songs. It's a very important song the way things are going. So it's historically a red song. So people who have sung it tonight, other people know that they were that way inclined. When I approached translating it, I didn't think we'd ever come across a previous translation by a very important lady called Kitty McGallagher, who was recorded by Alan Lomax in 1851 in Lagan County. She recorded a version of this and numerous other old airs and reels, but more importantly, she also recorded what is the only version of Keenan we have, which was outlawed by the chapel. It was too big. So I'll do a version of Irene Unite by Kitty McGallagher with a verse that I've written myself in my world, the holy sign I heard. Wallen, the hellish cheer. Wallen, the ugum san notion. La ray, la tear. Irene, ujt slam. Slan let ara. Irene ara. Ket slam gola. Tahu. Min wash me. Near at him, a mock arm watching. Kahru guji yani. Tamego, a piece of wench jit. Agus a karamokri. Irene, uj slam. Slalat ara. Irene ara. Ket slangola. Tahu. Mi wash me. Yes, Ahern, Sakartlama Foster. Hoher me, he and she. Tamanish, Tamahan, Saskar. Tamar Hulgen, Piliarish. Irene, uj slam. Slanlet, ara. Irene, ara. Ket slangola, tahu, mi wash me.
Fantastic.
Oh my God.
Really fantastic.
Working on a second album, I'm hopefully wanting to record that as a sort of a New Orleans style jazz sort of a band, but with the Gaelic. I think it'll be a nice contrast. See if it works out. If not, they'll probably hear it like that on the album. I'm taking a bit of time out just on the second album. There's certain arrangements that I want in a certain way, you know. And tortoise and her, I'll get there.
And is that are you going to be doing some of your own stuff?
That's all. The second album's going to be all my own.
Oh,
The only real cover will be Irene.
right.
The rest will be songs that I've written. I'll give you another couple of examples of what I call Lagan Delta Blues. One song in particular, I have to see if I can do it justice. I don't normally play it on the resonator, I play it on the acoustic or the electric. But the idea of the song was to encapsulate my attempt at imitating the Ellen Pipes. Going back to primary school, there was a fella, Patrick O'Hara, I think his name is, the local paper, phenomenal talent. His man's around, He's also probably one of the best reed makers for Ellen Pipes. He came in to give a demonstration to our primary school class. I know, never heard a sound like it. There were bagpipes and all. There was a fella living in the corner who had bagpipes and were playing for funerals and stuff like that, so he was practicing every Sunday morning. He's familiar with the sound and the tones and the drones, the bagpipes, but the Ellen Pipes were very strange. It was a bit more going on, a bit busier, and it wasn't until I got older, I started, I never grew up with Irish music in the house. I grew up with everything, but not that there was anything against Irish music. My dad was just very wide ranging in regards to the stuff he played. Everything from Simon and Garfunkel and that sort of stuff, the Mavis New Orchestra. And then our brothers, one was a meddler, big into rap music, which influenced them angles as well. But the pipes, something I've never heard anything that had the same effect on me like it did. And the idea of the song, I was learning a piece called The Last Pint. It is traditionally, it's written by a fella called Pierre Ben Susan, and he plays it in a dad-gad tuning with a capo. I messed about just in the dad-gad tuning in the room where he was doing it. I come up with this wee piece. It was very imitative. I was able to get some tones and drones that reminded me of the pipes. And that's the musical aspect to it. The lyrics were a poem written about, obviously, a previous love and a bit of fate that would have, and just different things, different periods to the relationship. It's more like closing the door, as it were, and coming to terms with my own way, as I said. And I think I wonder does Evangeline still hang upon your wall? The emerald lady by your bed when dusk comes down to fall. That old ragged feeling when your head is in a mess, and nothing seems to come to much no matter what's confessed. And wonder pre-Pentecostal they wrapped in the cloth of cream, or has he risen from the grave remains to be seen? Lay down a weary tune and visit your past success. Think of all the deeds you done while under life's duress. Does Bridget still overlook the plate of her preserve? 'Cause late without my Graham is not what I deserve. And with a hungry feeling, I must be on my way. Although it makes no difference to what I do or say. Well, talked earlier about a bit about Rambo. When I first got into Rambo, I wrote a poem as an homage to him about a thinking tree, as it were. It was around the corner from when I was young. I on the papers in the mornings and the evenings, and there was periods where I would find myself by the time where I'd sit around under the tree. We would play football close in the park. You get tired, you go over and sit under the tree, things like that. Came a wee comfort spot for myself, even walking the dog and stuff, taking the dog in the park, you'd off the lead, over and sit under the tree. And contemplated an awful lot there, so it was a wee bit of an homage to Rambo and remembrance of the tree. Tree fell down recently, blew down one of the storms, most recent storm. And so the song has went from being a present tense to past tense. So the song's called Season in Hell, and the reason called it Season in Hell is Arthur Rimbaud had his poem, famous long stories, Uncessant and Fair, collection of poems and prose, which translates to Season in Hell. So I'll give you a take on that. There is a tree, sits on two levels, above and below, within its serenity. Many's the time I've sat beneath that tree, thought to myself, where do I belong? Is it up above, looking down across empty pitches where each and every piece of the earth has a place? Then I'll discover I'm right where I should be, between the moving gods and the souls and the sticks. So to me end, I'll stay invisible, but for how long? Existing in limbo, up and above, across empty pitches where each and every piece of the earth has a place. Where each and every piece of the earth has a place.
One more.
Yeah, certainly. One person I haven't spoke about who's been a tremendous influence on my guitar playing is a fellow called Charlie Patton. You ever hear Charlie? Charlie.
Yep.
Thing about struck me how I found Charlie was a Bob Dylan documentary released in 2004 called No Direction Home. I believe it was Scorsese. And so yeah, it's a great documentary, but the soundtrack to it is phenomenal. There's different clips in that. At one point you hear a song called High Water Everywhere, Charlie Patton. Dylan wrote a song, High Water for Charlie Patton. It was on Time Out of Mind, I believe. But I heard that voice and I heard the percussive playing, and I'd never heard anything like it. I know. By this stage, I'd been delving into the blues and knew about Robert Johnson and knew about Songhouse, who was another tremendous, had another tremendous effect on me. But But I went looking for Patton. Nobody knew about him. Nobody heard about him. Nobody knew who he was. And I remember going to Terry Hooley's shop and all. Charlie Patton, like who? And wasn't it years later that there was, I can't remember what the record company was, but they put out a series of blues CDs. You know, getting to know the blues. People like Buckle White and Charlie Patton was featured in that series and had a CD with 20 of his tracks. And that was the first time I got to really listen to him in depth. And the stuff I discovered, it was just phenomenal. Just playing and singing. Shortly before, he died 4 or 5 years later, but he sang the last few years of his career with Cutthroat. Previous to that, they'd say he could sing and be heard clearly the appeal of over 300 people. Like, he would be before amplification, so you had to be loud. He was a small man, part Native American, part in African American, illegitimate brother of the Chapman brothers, who were the Mississippi Sheiks, they were the foundation of Delta blues, as it were, um, and he was responsible for people like Sunhouse being recorded, but he's also responsible for teaching Howlin' Wolf how to play the guitar. So you modern blues schools, say from the 50s and the 60s, you've two sort of distinct styles that have emerged from the Delta. You've Muddy Waters and you've Howlin' Wolf. Howlin' Wolf was the exponent of Charlie Patton. Muddy Waters was the exponent of Robert Johnson and Sunhouse. Whereas the Sunhouse aspect would be very, very, rural, rough. Some stuff's only one chord, percussive, beating the guitar. Johnson took some of that and approached it more Urban, with an Urban approach to the sound, with stuff he learned from a guy called Ike Zimmerman, which in turn inspired Muddy to take that style and electrify it. It became Chicago style of blues. Because Patton had such a wider range of material, his stuff would, a bit broader aspect, different rhythms. He incorporates a lot more different things into it. Say some of his first recordings is the earliest rock and roll that you can attribute to where the sound and the approach and the phrasing. But the song I'll play is one he done. They would have a Sunday off, and that was the difference. So they would get the car, have fish fries, and start to play bits and pieces to each other. The song starts, he's talking about, things that he's noticed around him, things that are happening, and he's incorporated the old song very much to a contemporary version for himself. I'm going away to a world unknown. Said I'm going away to a world unknown. And I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. Every day seems like murder here. Every day seems like murder here. Well, I'll leave in the morning. I know you won't bend my car, 'cause I feel like chopping, chips flying everywhere. Feel like chopping, chips flying everywhere. And I went to the nation Lord, I couldn't stay there. Some people told me overseas bluesy and bad. Some people told me overseas bluesy and bad. Well, must not have been the overseas blues I had. Who's out walking down that lonesome road? Who's out walking down that lonesome road? It's my baby coming, I can tell by the way she goes.
Fucking hell. Amazing.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Take care, Charlie.
I have 2 words. Fuck me. If you're at home and you didn't know about the blues, that was a great wee lesson. A great wee lesson and some Irish history in there as well, the Irish language. And I think we can all agree that was a great show. So from both myself and Darren, I would like to thank Karl for coming along tonight, as we do every week. And from Acoustic Haven, that's another showdown next week. Ludwig and Neil. See you later. Good night.